How many times have you meant to write something down? A document, a process guide, a record of how you solved a problem. We keep meaning to do it, but the finished creative work, the story, the strategy, the solution, somehow manages to exist without that documentation. But what you're looking at here isn't just a machine, it's a metaphor. Every creative asset you've ever produced has been built on invisible scaffolding. The research, the conversations, the failed attempts, the thinking that made the final thing possible. And that scaffolding? It's almost never documented. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore why that matters, what it costs you, and what happens when creative work goes undocumented. Now let's talk about the anatomy of creative focus. Every creative project has two sides. On the left, you have the main project, the audience-facing execution. It's what lives on the page or screen. It's a high-stakes, long-term endeavor. But on the right, there's something equally important that rarely gets the attention it deserves: the support document. This is the creator-facing foundation. It's the strategic blueprint that lives in your head but has never made it to paper. And here's the crucial insight. That document, the one you keep meaning to write, is usually the one that would save you the most time if it existed. It offers high leverage, immediate ROI. The irony is striking. We spend months executing the main project, but we skip the one thing that could accelerate the entire endeavor. Notice this graph showing the tax of time away. When you step away from a project without proper documentation, line A, your retained context drops off a cliff. You come back and have to rebuild the entire world from scratch before you can build upon it. That's a massive cognitive load. But look at line B. When you have foundational assets in place, your context stays intact. You return to your desk and immediately re-enter the creative flow. The difference isn't subtle. It's the difference between losing weeks to reconstruction and picking up exactly where you left off. This is why the notes you're avoiding writing now will save you exponentially more time later. Notice the difference between these two transfer methods. When you hand off your vision without structure, top scenario, it arrives as a tangled mess of conflicting interpretations. The collaborator sees arrows pointing everywhere, endless explanations, and a misaligned understanding of what you meant. But when you create a support document first, like the blueprint shown here, something remarkable happens. That document becomes a translation layer. It transforms your vision into something instantly understandable, allowing your collaborator to move straight to execution. The absence of this document is felt immediately in delays, rework, and frustration. This is why, across the creative industries, the documents you keep meaning to write aren't nice-to-haves, they're accelerators. Every successful creative project rests on three foundational assets. First, your world notes, the physics and logic that governs your entire creation, the unchangeable rules of engagement. Second, your character reference sheet, which documents the psychological blueprint, motivations, arcs, blind spots, and archetypal patterns that make characters feel real. And third, your one-page project brief, which distills everything into singular intent and scope, your ultimate true north. These three documents work together as a diagnostic matrix, preventing costly rework by establishing shared truth before you ever begin. The final principle we need to embrace: invisible structure makes visible art possible. Notice how the three foundational elements, your world, your character, and your brief, sit as pillars supporting the main project above. But here's the key insight. By codifying these elements into tangible creative assets, you're not adding bureaucracy to your process. You're actually freeing yourself. When you externalize this structure, you stop holding it in your head. You reclaim that cognitive bandwidth and redirect it entirely toward execution. The support document isn't a distraction from the work. It's the engine that drives it. It holds the structure so your mind can focus completely on the creative act itself. So here's the final question I want to leave you with. It's diagnostic. What is that support document your current project is missing? The one that, if you sat down and wrote it this week, would make everything else easier. Not the deliverable, not the final output, but the thing that would unlock it all. If this resonates with you, if you can already feel what document you need, I want you to pause the struggle right now. Like this post, comment with the word forge, and then go write that document. That's where your real leverage is.